Hello again. So now I'm gonna make part 3 of this Xubuntu 18.4 tutorial. I have figured out what was wrong with the panel. You go to panel settings and elements, and I had to remove this information applet that's included with Unity, and that's really a Ubuntu feature, and I'm not sure why it's included with Xubuntu, but it is, and I would like to remove it so I get the classic systray icons, and see, then the system indicators from Ubuntu will disappear, and there's not a lot of other things going on here. I think this new feature, notification feature in the new XFCE version, XFCE 4 doesn't change a lot, but it got some new features now and then. This is not an indicator, so I may have been confusing you, but remove the Unity stash and it will work like traditional systray. For example, I had this bug with 2 instances of Network Manager showing. One was in the Unity indicator program, and one was in the classic systray. Now that I removed the Unity indicator applet from the XFCE panel, it just automatically shows in systray, and so does the Bluetooth icon. I am not used to using Bluetooth. I never quite delved into Bluetooth, but now I got a few Bluetooth devices in my home, so I'll probably be using it. Forward, because I got some devices that just they are Bluetooth devices and it's wireless, and why shouldn't I use it then? Maybe it's time that I start looking into it. I think Bluetooth is a technology that is here to stay, not like the Firewire. If you remember, a while after USB was introduced, there was this Firewire that was supposed to be so much better than USB, but nobody wanted to use it anyway, and now we got USB 3. Only thing I can think about that still uses Firewire is some music production hardware, where it's still in use, but most people don't even remember what Firewire is. I will continue tweaking the desktop, and I would like to have a show desktop icon. I know for a fact that in Windows 10 you have or they have changed the user interface so that the minimize all icons button on the panel, or what they call it, is down right in the corner here. Change is good, of course, but I don't see the benefit, so I will move it close to the whoops, what happened here? I will move it close to the programs menu. And as I mentioned, what the fuck? It doesn't move. Oops. Did I just swear? I can move. Yes, there it came. So UI design has always been this back and forth. Always the desktops over time. I feel like they've always been mimicking each other. OS2 and Windows and Mac OS and Linux and always. I think the Windows 10 is kind of mimicking Linux in many ways, and they finally integrated some features that you only had in Linux before, that we have had for over 10 years, and now they're integrating it into that. But I won't go too deeply. Like I said, I used Windows 10 for 2 weeks, and I don't even remember how it was. It's a slick, simple interface, but there's not a lot you can do really. They have better support for all the software, and I've heard that you can install Xubuntu on top of it to get Linux applications running on Windows. Improvements like that, and modern simplistic design, because simplicity is the new thing, and they got rid of that. I also tried, I bought a computer with Windows 8 pre-installed, and I just couldn't make any sense of it. The interface was so stupid. With, like, when you start up this start screen, it was all this squares that you should click on to open an applications, and suddenly there were 2 application standards and apps and programs around each other. And what's the difference, app and program? And I found that Windows 8.1, which I used, it was so annoying. I couldn't use it for even 2 days. I just had to get rid of it and install Linux. But let it be said that I've been using Linux for everyday use since 2008, and that is 10 years. And I tried it even earlier. I think I tried it the first time in 2001 or 2002, and I wasn't that old at that age. I was, well, per definition, a child. So I had a go with Coral Linux. I think it was called Coral Linux 2001, and it ran KDE. It was pretty cool. It was good. But the only thing about it is that it crashed all the time. It, like, if your computer lost power, which happened quite often, I think. Because I had at the time When I was 14, I had a computer workshop, and I just screwed together a lot of used computers that I got for free from some computer store, which would trash the computer if no one took them. So I just took a lot of computers and screwed them together and took some cards and hardware here and tried to make a good computer. Actually, at the best, I could achieve quite a good usable computer. I used Windows 2000 most of the time, but I will always remember that I had this favorite computer with a 20 megabytes hard drive and just a very low specifications, and I was running DOS, and that was my favorite computer, just running DOS and writing text in edit and making some games in QBasic. And yeah, I really miss programming, so I will probably get into programming again if I were to apply for a job in IT now. I could say I know a lot about Linux and systems and computers. I can fix your computer and stuff, but what I can't do Excel, or what it's called, you know, math programs, and I also know very little about databases. So yeah, there are quite a lot of things I can do, but you know, not everything. I would prefer to work with design or system maintenance or something like that. Now let's go back and see if there are other things. I would like to add an extra panel. Place it here. I select 2 rows. Make it vertical, and then you have this little nice feature that lets you place the panel right in the middle of the screen here, and then I lock it. And what I would like to use this panel for is features. So let's just try and move this notification applet. I will have gadgets and stuff in here. Now this is moved from the sys and area. Era and area are so closely sounding words that I sometimes confuse them. Well, this is the system area. except the clock. That is error. Like I said, I am very into design, and I would actually let me present my case. I would like to make a GNU Linux operating system. I will try to make it as much open source as I can. Though I know that you need some closed source codecs and stuff. Still today, even though the internet have implemented new standards for video, still many pages are using Flash, so you can't go without Flash really. You go on social media and you want to see this video and you can't see it unless you have Flash installed, and that's a closed proprietary software codec, so you have to install this on free. Well, it is gratis, it is freeware, but it is not libre. It's not really free. And in my operating system, the one I want to make, I still haven't figured out if I want to base it off Xubuntu or Fedora. But I will use this panel here on the right as a gadget panel, and my operating system is called Giraffe Linux. Yes, that's right. Giraffe as in the animal giraffe. So this would work as a gadget. In this case, I don't know. Perhaps this icon will be here. I have to make some design decisions. And a sound applet would be nice to have in the gadget section. But I would also like to have other things here. There was this Twitter client. I don't remember the name. I go over to web browser. Whoops, now you can see all the stuff that I have open in my tab. Search called classic games abandonware. Why something Facebook, computer blog. I need to look at that later. And Firefox plugins and yes, CSD. I am researching CSD. CSD stands for client-side decorations, and it's something I'm particularly interested in, client-side decorations and how to integrate that that's mainly been a Unity / GNOME 3 thing. So how best to implement client-side decorations in an environment like XFCE. There is this upcoming new desktop environment called LXQT, which looks very promising. But I'm still swearing to XFCE. I must admit that LXQT desktop, which is based on Qt and is supposed to be lightweight, is a competitioner to XFCE. It has some pretty nice features. The Alt F2 run app. It shows like a drop down, like a square drop down thingy from up here on the top of the screen in LXQT. So there are things, elements in there which would be even better, but overall XFCE still got more features and it's lightweight, and I'm at the moment I am a little bit confused. Because the desktop is using so much RAM, but I think the cause must be that I got a new computer which has a lot of RAM. Let's see, 7 gigs of RAM compared to my old desktop which had only 2. So I think that Linux makes your it adjusts to your system. So if you got only 2 gigs of RAM, then the system will take up around 400 megabytes of RAM. But if you upgrade your RAM to say 7 or 7 is really 8, because this number systems don't change from system to system. In Linux it will always show a little bit less because it uses another number system or something like that. So if I had Windows running here, it would say 8 gigs of RAM, but here it is viewed as 7 gigs. Anyway, nowadays I know 2018 7 gigs of RAM is quite a lot and should be enough even to run games on. I know I can run 3D games on this system without any problems. Also remember that there are on a new system there are a lot of features that need to be used and deployed. If you have an HD screen, I got 1080 in HD resolution on my screen, and that's a lot of pixels. That is a high resolution. Of course that would use extra system resources, and the more bling and the glamour you add to your system, the more resources we use. Now I'm using the XFCE native XFVM Windows decorator, and with it comes a lot of features, and it's not heavyweight. It draws shadows around the layers, the program layers, which you call windows. And I think that is a must. Okay, so now I will install a program called Corebird, and yes, it should come up here in the whisker menu. Corebird, here it is, and I just have to drag the icon over here and make a launcher. So this is a Twitter client. I won't log in now, but you get the point. I think that is like kind of a gadget that could be used. And leave a comment or send me an email with contact information if you are interested in joining my project on making this new operating system, Giraffe OS. So what I got on this panel now is I got a volume control, and I got this notification applet. Not quite sure yet if this is gonna stay here or if I'm gonna move it back on the main panel. And I got this program that just acts like a gadget. I can open it from here. I got a concept, and I think that's enough for making a new operating system. You can see I have played a little bit since the last video. I've installed the VirtualBox. It is a virtualizer for computers, so I can run virtualized computers inside of this PC. And I have installed one. I have installed React OS inside here. React OS is free software, but it is not Linux. It is not even Unix. It is a imitation of Windows, supposed to become compatible with Windows, so you can open you can use Windows programs inside of it. And this start menu, which they call it, has this Windows design with programs in one menu. Let's see, games. WinMine. I'm a big fan of mines. That must be my favorite retro game. Or maybe Snakes. I don't know. I have installed Firefox 28. I would like to try to install React OS directly on my hardware, just to see if it works. I know that I can set my BIOS to legacy mode. So maybe it could work. Which page should I go to? bbc.uk.co. Now, co.uk. And it really directs me to bbc.com. Okay, let's see. I can show some news here. Is some news about the American president. I don't care too much. And Kim Jong-un, isn't that the Chinese president? I think he's okay. I think they got an okay president in China now. But I don't know that much about China. I can't. But I'm sure China is a nice country. What is this? Perhaps some plane accident or something from Australia. They got worldwide news here on the BBC channel. And what is this? How to speak volcano like a pro? I never heard about volcano even. I try to play it and see if I got right codecs installed here for playing. Videos from the BBC website. No, sorry, you need Flash to play this. Download Flash here. Install now. I hope this will work. I have to say that this React OS, it is only an alpha. It's not even in beta release, so it should be quite unstable. I've tried it before, but in this new release now, release they got a new theme, so it doesn't look like Windows 95 anymore. I get nostalgic thinking about Windows 95 because that was what I used as a kid. as a designer, I can't think too much about how other systems do it. I have to look for solutions, and quite frankly, this classical interface quite appeals to me. I don't agree with GNOME's visions of like shutting out the exit button and minimize everything to this oversimplified. It is true that I have been avoiding KDE applications for the most part because they got too many options. But I think now that the GNOME theme is the GNOME the people at GNOME are just taking it too far. Now let's see if this Flash player installs on ReactOS. Adobe Flash could not be installed. Oh, so I won't see this news. Shared clipboard. I choose bidirectional, and if I'm not mistaken now, I can take this and copy it to clipboard. There was an error earlier that the clipboard wasn't working, but that may have been since I didn't have Clipman running, the clipboard manager. Copy on this clicks and lags a lot. I'll just let's go back to the web browser and paste it here. Here is some number. Yes, this number is from some bank bills I had to pay. I'm sure that's unnecessary information for you. Also, I'm curious about this news, but I can't get into seeing it. ReactOS, let me talk a little bit about that. It is based on Wine. Wine is the emulator for Linux, an emulator you can use to run Windows programs on Linux. I find often it can be useful. It really depends on some factors. If you, how much storage you got on your computer hard drive, because I think it takes up around 1 gigabyte of hard drive, and that's if you're on a computer with 32 gigs of hardware, hard disk, that is a lot. Or if you have 1 terabyte, then it won't matter. I've been thinking that maybe using Wine could be a security issue. For what if the Wine emulator allows Windows viruses to get into your system? I'm not sure if that's how it is. I went to some forum and they were quite positive to like I understood it. You can get Windows viruses inside of Wine, but that won't affect your entire computer. That would just affect your Wine environment, because that runs in its own instance. And the React OS is not only based on Wine project. It takes code from many other projects too. It's hard to install on a normal computer, especially on a new computer. It's hard to install this operating system here. I wouldn't say that it is useless, but it still has a long way to go. I would recommend people to donate money to the developers so they can start working good on this. I plan to do this myself. Donate some amount of money to them, so at least I contributed with something. Here you can see I installed Pingus. Pingus is an open source game. Even though it's open source, I had to install the Windows version. Not any customized Reactos version or anything like that. I had to go for the Windows version. That's how everything works here. You're supposed to be running exe files, and you have a command prompt here. Let's close this game. Command prompt here. Let's see if I remember the right command for this. CLS cleans the screen. Yes. So this is a command prompt. It is DOS based. Let's see if edit is installed. No, it's not. Let's see if the dir command is used. Yes, it works. Let's see. I'm in the folder C Reactos. So you see the folder structure here is the same as on Windows. This is almost a clone. I don't know how they do this legally, if this even is a legal operating system. It's supposed to be binary compatible with Windows NT. I think that is their aim. Let's try some other programs. Calculator. Just a really retro calculator here. Retro never goes out of fashion. That is my quote. Take my wisdom. Retro never goes out of fashion. You got this run window here, and that's been around for a long time in Windows 2, and I'm not sure if they use that anymore in like Vista 7 and 10. They got a control panel. Add the hardware. This so reminds me of Windows 95 back when. It's supposed to detect new hardware, and I'm running this in a virtual box. So everything should work seamlessly in a virtual box usually. I don't know if you want to use this operating system. Should you try to get your hands on some old hardware and get it running there, or try to get it running on your new computer, or is that futile? I don't know. I don't think they even implemented UFEI on this yet, so it's kind of a slow development. Also, I don't know how this is superior to Wine. Only one cool thing I can think about this system is that it's got an application manager. Let's see, here's a lot of useful programs. 7-zip, I would like that, because you know 7-zip files, they're like zip files, compressed files, and Abbey Word, that is a word processor. That would be nice to have. Now I click apply, and this manager program downloads the install files. That's right. These systems use installers, just custom made installers for installing programs. It seems, from my perspective as a GNU Linux user, it seemed almost absurd to use this system, which is so full of inconsistency and randomness. But if that's what you are used to, then just go ahead. I've been trying to explain to people for years and years that the Linux way of installing programs is much easier. And now some years ago, actually I was quite fast in getting Android. I got my first Android phone in 2011, and it used Android 2, and I think there was a software center there. But it's been 2 years since Windows 10 was launched, and it came with a software center. But you can, unless you are running Pro, Windows 10 Pro, you got to install verified programs. So there are really quite a lot of restrictions. Not only that Microsoft spies on you and they sell or give away your information to governments and perhaps other companies, not to mention that they got you in their registry, and it is no secret that Microsoft is spying on you. So with that common knowledge, I still think it's strange that they got almost 90% of the market share. And yeah, where were I? Let's go back a little bit and talk about something different. Android, yeah. I got my first Android telephone back in 2011. Of course, it was crappy. I think it costs cost around little bit over $20 or euro or whatever, and it was slow. Not really that good of a user experience. I rather use a retro telephone mobile with, one of those Nokia clones or something like that. Something old-fashioned. I got 2 or 3 telephones now. I'm using Android 6 on my Sony telephone now, and I am very happy with that telephone. Things have gotten much better. Only thing I can complain about is all the advertisements, because when you go to software store there, and they don't got much of a open source philosophy, so it's pretty much anyone can upload their programs to the software store, and I end up with having all this advertisement all around. I have to sweep 5 times a day, sweep away advertisements, and that's not really a good solution. I don't see myself in that scenario, so either I have to remove all those applications that show me ads, or I just have to find another solution. I think that would be my first thing to do, remove all those all the crapware that's showing me ads. I have had this phone for a year, so I don't think that the time is ready for getting a new phone yet. That would be just consuming products, buying some new fancy stuff and just throwing it in the garbage. I don't think that is okay. So I have to stick with this phone for a couple of years, and then I'll see. Maybe the next phone will be a Linux phone. Okay, it seems like I'm talking about a lot of other things than just Xubuntu in this I call it podcast, more a screencast with me talking about random stuff. See, the 7-zip utility here is installed, and you always need 7-zip to open compressed files. 7-zip, if you've been around on the computer scene for the last years, you know that zip kind of been the default compression format, but 7-zip is better, and there are other formats too. There are lots of formats. Only reason I still would use zip in some cases is to get encryption, because it's one of the few compression formats that uses encryption, so you can make the file require a password every time you open it. And that would be nice if you, for example, have a file with all your passwords stored. It would be nice to compress it into a zip file and then require a password to see your passwords. Now this is installed on the system. And now it's downloading a B word. Should I just go with Norwegian, or I think I set it to English just as well. Just the same, just as good. Well, next directories, dictionaries. Norwegian bokmål and Norwegian nynorsk. And let's see, English too. Okay. And next, install. See, I'm not usually thinking a lot about Windows and stuff like that, but this React OS, it kind of brings up kind of nostalgia, and I'm kind of in the nostalgic corner. It's playing Pac-Man and doing all those things. Actually, I always wanted to try OS 2, but I never got that far. I know my father, he had a CD with OS 2, but I never got so far as to steal that CD and install it on my own computer. I just never did. So if you ask me anything about OS 2, I know very little. I know it is the it's just like Windows 95 or Windows 3.11 or a little bit like those old Mac versions. So as you probably figured out, I'm quite interested in computer history and old designs, and yes, I've been following up. In my days, I have witnessed the transition from 32 to 64 bits operating systems. Let's go back to say 2008, 2009 or 10, when nobody actually cared if you used 32 or 64 bits. Actually, most people recommended using 32 bit because there was no point in using 64 bit before all the applications have been translated into 64. You wouldn't notice any difference on your system, but today 10 years later, you would definitely go for 64 bit. It has now a lot of positive sides to it. It will run much faster. The difference, if I should go into technical detail, is that 64-bit it uses a longer string. One string in a 32-bit system would contain 32 bits, and one string in a 64-bit would consist of 64. So if a program is designed for 64-bit, it would run much faster. Now, 10 years later, everything is in 64 bits, and I think that it will be in the next 10 years still. This is a lot of nerd speech. Now let's go back to the virtual machine where I'm running Reactos on this newly installed Xubuntu 18. Failed to install a B-word. Retry. Downloading, seems like stuck on 70%. Connecting, nothing happens. I hope not the internet broke down. It happened earlier today. Probably some maintains on the the internet is up. Nothing is happening here. Okay, but I really think that Reactos is worth a mention. It might be full of bugs and fails, and it might hang, and it might not install on the latest hardware, and maybe a lot of incomplete things about it, but it is a great effort made by only quite a few contributors, and the project in itself is great. A system that is binary compatible with Windows. It looks and behaves like Windows. I wonder. Let's go back to Application Manager. Really, how useful is it? It can be discussed. But it's open source, and if you know someone that swears to using this kind of system, you might convince them to use Reactos to switch out their Windows XP or whatever they're using with this. And I know old computers are not as usable nowadays as they could and should be, because internet, because web browsers. You have to you can't actually use the internet probably without having the newest web browser, and that takes up a lot of memory on your computer. And this still works. I gave this virtual machine 1 GB of RAM, and it seems like this Firefox, let's see, version 48, okay, is working. So you get a long way with that if you got 1 GB of RAM. That would work on a minimalistic system. If you're using a operating system that's a little bit more complete, you might need at least 2 GB of RAM. I know this sucks for a lot of people, because everybody can't afford expensive computers and cheap computers that you get in the stores. Nowadays, most of them run 2 GB of RAM, and these are new computers. So if you're using a 5+ years old computer, chances are you won't make it work with with a proper web browser, and you can't really use it for social media. And what you're gonna do, just play card games. Okay. This sounds kind of familiar. I'll try to install this. And I noticed one thing, that this React OS system, it hasn't crashed yet. Well, there was an error while I was trying to install Abbey Word, the Office application, but it hasn't crashed yet. I'm trying to run this game. Buy now, maybe later. This is some shareware game. Maybe later. Super DX Ball. I never played this. Select the board, and there's just the start board. I guess you have to play through each level before making it. And this remind me of a game. This is a breakout game. This kind of game is called breakout. And they're quite entertaining. Guess you can sit for an hour doing this. Woo, next level. And here are some blocks that are invisible until we hit them with the ball. And you hit them once more and they disappear. Ooh. Whoa, 2 balls. Ooh, and don't take those red blocks with skeletons on. That's a bad sign. And that is death. And this one made all the invisible blocks visible. Don't take that. Take this one. It will make it go that much faster. And you can just shoot at all the blocks. Ooh, what happened now? I took some thing that just fell down from the sky, and now I'm in the next level. This is the most exciting podcast ever made. Oh, I died. Oh, but I got several lives. Woohoo! I don't know why you're still looking at this podcast, because a video podcast, because I think this is beginning to get a bit boring. Maybe I don't entertain you as good as I should. Perhaps I will get better or worse at making these podcasts. Maybe I should start the whole series anew. Just kind of run it more fast-paced. Oh no, now I took a shrinking thing. Those things, what are those called? I'm sure they're not called things. I know some people actually earn money out of just playing video games and putting them online. Maybe you think this is more fun than just the geek talk, or geek. I don't actually say use much the geek. There's a difference between geek and nerd. Geek is kind of like this really hardcore computer enthusiast which doesn't do anything else than programming, and nerd is more this universal term that means that you're knowledgeable and academic, and nerd is kind of a positive term, whereas geek is not. I wouldn't describe myself as a geek because I've got a lot of other interests than just computers and programming and stuff. But nerd, okay, I would go for nerd because I am an academic in nature, and sure, computer science is no exception. If you go back in history, then the term nerd would have negative connotations. It would mean a scholar, yes, but it would also mean a not so attractive person. It would mean an unattractive person, and I think that term has changed over the years since we all use computers nowadays, and now the term nerd more refers to if you are academically interested, and perhaps some of this connotations to computing, but there are many kinds of nerds nowadays. You can be a Japanese nerd that watches manga series. I don't like manga, so but yeah, nerd in this and that field, and you have to specify. A manga nerd is one that just watches Japanese cartoons all day long. You could be nerd in any field. You can be football nerd almost. But the word geek, that has more of the old connotation to it. So if you're old, then update your vocabulary. The old nerd is now a geek, and a nerd nowadays is not an unattractive person. It's just someone who studies. And it's not a bad thing. Okay, so now this I'm on level 7, but I don't think I'm gonna play the entire game. I just quit. This was fun. Yes, I should get a Patreon account, and then you could send me money for liking my videos. I always need money. It's another breakout game. Okay, I just can't resist. I installed this one too. This was this is funny software center. It's not that many apps actually in the store, but then it downloads the Windows installer files and runs them set of files. It seems so random, the collections they chose. Okay, so this breakout game seems a little bit more advanced. Local game. It's a multiplayer online game. Editor, advanced options, audio, graphics, controls. Okay, but I just click local game and start game. Yes, this brings me right where I want to go. I don't know. This game was a bit more shiny, I would say. And modern. And you got these points you can take. It's very much the same. Oh, what is this? Oh no, oh, frozen! Oh, whew, woke up in time. And this, I know, yeah, this is fun. You get an wall down at the bottom that just catches the ball for you. This question. Whoa. Well, lost. But more lives. Another graphics in this, I can't complain. this, it's just about just as good. But I don't know, maybe you guys are used to playing like this insane PlayStation 4 games with these insane graphical features and 3D and there's almost video quality graphics that I'm not that into, since I haven't tried a lot of them. I would like to try a couple of them though. Maybe perhaps I will buy a PS4. I heard that they got insanely good GPUs, graphic processors. And I remember there was some years ago I tried this PS3 game called something like Gods of Rome, or Gods of Greek, or something like that. That was quite fun, but surely it has progressed even more since then, and I haven't even gotten into this VR glasses yet. That's something new that I haven't tried. So there's lots of things going on there, I know. I just have no time and I have no money for testing out those things. Although I think I can, when I think about it, I think I can level up my game in gaming a bit with the, because I got new computer. I have the old computers I have. They are not that good. They have integrated graphics and 2 gigs of RAM. One of them has only 2-core processor. Definitely under 2 GHz CPU. Maybe 1.6. I don't know. Those crappy computers. Nothing to brag about. It should be working, of course. just that if you really care about computing, then you could put in some try to put in some money into your new computer. The cheapest models will always work, but if you go and triple the price, you suddenly got a computer that's working with games, with new games. I think this one here, I can't exactly run Doom 3 on it, but most stuff will work. Yeah, most stuff will work. I will have to take that back because because I'm running Linux, so those games won't work anyway. There are some games on Steam. I don't use Steam. But there are some cool projects out there I have to check out. You're probably not watching this movie now because I just talked and talked. I don't feel like I am really on point with anything here. I was supposed to talk about Xubuntu 18.4 and tweaking the user interface, but now suddenly I'm on a virtual box on another operating system, React OS, that's almost nobody heard about, even playing an open source game that I just as well could have installed directly on Linux, and just talking about old computers and new computers. And yeah, leave a comment down below though, if give me some advice or thoughts. Do you think I should buy a PlayStation 4 just for gaming? Could check my savings, and maybe I got some money I could use for that. I got some money though. I'm not rich, but got some money. I could, if I wanted to, I could buy it. Not sure if it's worth it. Kind of, it could end up like this. I bought this TV channels, this package of TV channels for $50 per month, and I rarely ever watch TV. I need to find something else to use those money on. Perhaps paying some YouTube contributors some Patreon money or something. Buy buy education to a poor kid in Africa or something useful. Economy. I can make a podcast about the economy. No, really, if you want to rob me, I probably don't have much money. You can try though, but I will call the police. No, please don't try. I want my money. I got bills to pay. Don't rob me. Rob someone else. Wait, no, really. I'm just sitting here babbling and playing this stupid game. I quit. Quit and quit. Okay, so out of this tries, I installed 7-zip and L breakout, super Dexball, and Abeaver didn't work. I've installed Pingus already. So just some fun and games. It seems kind of random what gets into here. What is this? I just have to check that out too. No. Wow, cancel. I have to uncheck these other items. Okay, Winboard install. So now question. Leave a comment in the comment section. What do you think about React OS? Is it something you would use? Would you use it in a virtual machine, or would you install it directly on your computer, or would you use it like to revive an old computer? Let me know what you think about that and the project, and would you donate some money to the project? Because they want money to work. I think it would be very motivating for the team to get some money out of it, and nowadays people are relying a lot on crowdfunding and donations and stuff like that. It became quite normal. In previous years, open source developers have been working for free most of the time, unless there were some company to back them up. But now I've seen a change in the community, and it's like donations and crowdfundings are motivating developers to continue to make great projects for us. And I'm an advocate for free software and open source, but giving the developers money for their work is no contradiction to it being open source and free software, because it's free as in freedom, not free as in free. It is free as in libre, not as in gratis. So I probably talked for 2 hours now, so I'll just take a coffee break and think about the next things I'm going to do. As of now, this is my 3rd Linux review that I will upload to the internet. Let me hear what you have to think about any of this. I'm especially curious to get a feedback about this operating system that I want to create. And I already showed you one of the features here, that I want this gadget panel here. Goal would be to create an open source operating system, but you know, there are lots of possibilities. We could claim money for the OS. We could do a lot of things. We could make a web page say you have to pay $50 to download this operating system. It's free software, but you have to pay $50, and that way we could get some money for investing or for beer or whatever. Software should be free, but it's always nice to get paid for work. And let's say I have many ideas for design and user interfaces, for features, and I need developers, especially in packaging and how to package the setup into an ISO file that can be installed. I would need some people to do that for me. I could stand for design and ideas. Of course, be open to new ideas. And someone could stand for the packaging. And it would be just a luxury if we had someone to write code for us. Then we would have it going, get the project up on GitHub or some web page like that. Create a group on some social media and get them to keep in contact. Yeah, if you're really a GNU Linux nerd, then leave a comment, contact me. I have a good feeling about this idea. That's all I have to say now. I will take probably a coffee break, then maybe make another video a little bit shorter. Yeah, that's it for now.